Salut à tous. On se retrouve une nouvelle fois dans Disco Elysium. J'avais acheté la carte. Je me suis rendu compte qu'en coupant l'enregistrement de la vidéo d'avant, j'avais pas regardé ce que c'était que le deuil blanc justement. Et on va voir qu'on perd encore un d'autorité, sachant que j'en avais perdu deux juste avant, si je garde le bouquin en main. Vous l'observez d'en haut, vous êtes épanoui sur le carrelage bleu de la chambre d'hôtel. Et toujours le bleu, il y a un problème avec ça. Même à distance, vous voyez vos paupières papillonner. En quel honneur, un gros objet blanc laissant flotter son doux parfum, comme du muguet. L'homme minuscule a oublié son nom, mais il se souvient encore de cette sensation. Et regardez, il bouge. Cette sensation l'anime, il attrape instinctivement le compagnon de cette sensation, une bouteille de Commodore rouge. Il enfile ses vêtements disco et devient de plus en plus petit. Je sais pas du coup si on l'intériorise parce qu'il y a tellement de trucs. Mais je sais pas. Là il y a des X sur les compétences. Je sais pas également si on peut les débloquer parce que sinon j'en ai que 6 quoi. Et on pourrait les oublier aussi mais... Et c'est pas fou en réalité, ça donne plus d'argent mais... On va le faire, de toute façon on a que ça. Autant maximiser les bonus. Moins 1 d'autorité. Mais du coup est-ce que je laisse le... On impose moins le respect quoi. Mais bon. Bon allez, j'aimerais aller un peu plus loin dans le truc. Bon allez, j'ai envie d'aller vite fait par là. Mais il y a des bouteilles partout. Je sais pas comment on récupère ce sac. Je vais regarder rapidement. Bah elle est là elle. Quoi ça? Elysium, pour le moral, super. Des thunes, je prends. Je vais voir si ça a changé le discours, qu'on soit derrière.
Are you trying to sneak up on me?
Ah oui.
Come to slit my throat in my sleep? Pigs come to take me out, trying to snuff me out. Then why are you sneaking up on me like that? It's not a good idea to scare me, pig. Not a good idea at all.
Ok, ça n'a rien changé. Donc la neige n'aura pas fondu. Apparemment on peut monter aussi.
There must be another way into the building.
C'était hyper fort le son là. Un bonnet. Ah bien bien. s'est augmenté tout seul le son du jeu ou... Mhm.
This is a wall on the side of an apartment building.
Super. Il y a beaucoup de choses à faire. Hein.
Hey, up here, piggo. Yeah, you better keep walking.
Clair-obscur. Je sais plus à quoi ça sert, mais... Moi je deviens fou avec ça.
Look at me when I'm talking to you. Hey, up here, piggo.
Et c'est quoi la suggestion? Bah j'ai juste annulé mon malus quoi. En fait, est-ce que ça sert à quelque chose? Je pense pas. C'est pas mal la suggestion quand même.
Yeah, you better keep walking.
Je vais mettre mes clopes.
A sturdy metal door guards the southwest entrance to the apartment. The door rattles against your knuckles, but the door rattles again.
Stop banging on the door! I'm not letting any more strangers inside. The police? Everyone knows the police don't come round here.
Pas une plaisanterie.
No, I already told you. I won't be responsible for any more strangers getting into the building.
D'autres étrangers.
Go check the backyard door. Maybe someone there will.
Vas-y, qui me dit le nom.
Madame, I assure you, we are real police officers.
There is no reply. Just faint sweeping sounds inside. A striking woman leans against the cabin top of her sailing boat, smiling as you approach. Her green raincoat glistens with droplets. A silk scarf is tied around her throat.
Doit pas être du coin. Hein.
Good afternoon, officers. I'm Joyce. Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbour. You gentlemen must be from the RCM.
Elle.
Leighton, my maiden name.
Je lui serre la main quand même.
I'm glad to see you here.
Like steel, there is strength there. If she wanted, she could sink her nails deep into your skin.
Pourquoi ferait ça?
I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the RCM in this matter, I will, gladly.
Ok, très bien.
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview. I should let you know that he is recovering from an unusual medical episode. Very unusual. But I can assure you of his ultimate competency.
Super, merci. Hein.
There's a trace of irony in his voice. Mischief, even. The lieutenant is hatching some scheme.
How interesting. I wish you a swift recovery. In the meanwhile, you have my full cooperation, and the full cooperation of the Wild Pines group.
Pour l'instant, c'est très bien.
It's hard to get a read on her precise disposition, but she appears helpful.
Je vais te sur un bateau.
Why, yes I am.
Pas beaucoup de gens en bateau. Hein.
Of course there are. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around?
There is a pinch of defensiveness in her voice, but it is playful.
On est sur
Yes,
un
we
archipel.
are. We are on Le Caillou.
Je crois qu'on était à
We
Revachol.
are. And the city of Revachol is on the island of Le Caillou.
J'ai pas vu de bateau par
I
ici.
haven't seen anyone else drive a souped-up Capri Kenema motor carriage either.
Hmm.
Actually, that motor carriage has been specially issued to serve as a patrol and pursuit vehicle. It's for crossing long distances in the greater Ravachol industrial harbor. It's not a toy.
Ouais, c'est ça.
Neither is this. A toy, I mean. It's a machine for crossing long distances in the Bay of Revachol, between the city and the islands.
Il y en a un nom ce bateau?
The boat? No. It is called Cordelati 19 because that's the type of sloop it is.
The word "it" feels strange. Such a beautiful boat deserves a proper name. A breeze ripples through the sails and tugs at your hair. Below, the sleek, fish-like shape of the hull parts the water. Beneath that, a resounding darkness. You're reminded of something. Or someone.
Il s'agit de quelle sorte de bateau?
It's a pleasure craft, a 19 pacer. It also happens to be rated for Category 1 racing. Though these days I mainly use it for business.
C'est-à-dire qu'il a besoin d'être baptisé?
Okay. How about Cordelati 19? Why?
Ok.
Because it was manufactured in Revachol East by a company called Cordelati, and its hull is 19 paces long.
Le poisson agile.
What?
Parce qu'il est agile, ça ressemble à un
I
poisson.
think I'll stick with the factory name. But thank you.
Bon.
My sloop? I like it a lot. It's the eel's hips, baby.
I'm enjoying this part of the interview. It has so little to do with the murder we're investigating.
I really do, the lieutenant thinks. Is she thrown off yet? He's looking at the woman,
Mais non.
assessing her.
On établit la confiance.
Officer, I assure you I'm a highly qualified pleasure craft operator.
The crowns of her teeth are porcelain, white as the boat's hull as she smiles. Qualified pleasure craft operator. So charming. Where's the damn license?
Bah oui, il est où le
I
permis?
just renewed its safety inspection last month, officers. It is completely seaworthy. In fact, it's taken part in not one, but two insulindic regattas. Even finished once.
Toujours besoin d'avoir un permis.
Actually, you don't. The
Qu'est-ce que tu veux
Wayfarer
dire?
Act specifically denies the RCM the authority to demand anyone's operator license. It's a little-known fact among us law officials.
Pourquoi c'est
I
méconnu?
was just being polite. Even school children know the Wayfarer Act.
Regardez-moi.
No need to resort to self-pity, detective. You can still ask for her passport.
Non, c'est bon, c'est bon.
Of course. Any more questions about the boat, sir?
The graciousness of her response makes you feel glad you didn't hassle her about her papers for no reason.
Good.
Que faites-vous chez White
What
Pines?
we do. I'm afraid I don't speak for Wild Pines as a whole. It's a giant undertaking.
Que fait le
The
groupe alors?
Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing. See those airships there, blinking? Those are the shipping side of things.
Ok.
And that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with energy, oil and gas exploration, offshore platforms.
Ils ont beaucoup d'argent.
I'm not at liberty to discuss the company balance sheet, but I can tell you that last year, the company booked more than 20 billion real in revenue.
Ah oui, c'est énorme. Hein.
A billion?
Impressionnant.
20 billion is a large number, but the conglomerate employs 72,000 people. They all need to be paid. Then there are capital improvements, interest payments.
Ok.
A conglomerate the size of the Wild Pines is like a shark. If it stops moving, it will die. Then what becomes of those 72,000 families? It's a tremendous responsibility.
Parlons d'autre chose.
She nods.
Que pouvez-vous me dire sur cette grève?
Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets.
Je m'en savoir plus sur les secrets commerciaux.
First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade in Elements. That gives me the right to silence. It's quite the octopus.
Comment je fais pour l'abroger alors?
Why? By throwing off half a century of foreign domination under the Coalition. Unfortunately for you, the Coalition also leases you the right to police West Revachol. But
Ouais.
I am derailing us. You wanted to know about the strike.
C'est quoi ton rôle?
I believe the official title is Senior Labour Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer.
Mhm.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching took place. Now they won't even let me into the harbour. There's a 2-meter-20 racist behemoth blocking the gates.
C'est qui ce
What
colosse?
can I say? The union employs a giant covered in tattoos. A racist giant. I guess that's part of their big tent organisation now.
J'en ai vu un de raciste, mais c'est pas le même.
Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived.
And when did you first arrive?
Bonne question ça.
I arrived 3 weeks ago.
3
Yes,
semaines.
in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then. I prefer to do these things on site, like the RCM.
But the strike began in December.
Ça fait très
I
longtemps.
wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concessions he'd granted the union in prior negotiations.
Normalement, on a le nom du patron.
This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike.
Heavens no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive.
C'est quoi leur revendication?
There are leaflets everywhere and banners. What did they say again? Oh yes, every worker, a member of the board.
Ouais, ils savent
In
pas
its
comment mener des
defense,
affaires. Hein.
another said, demand democracy. Pretty tame stuff compared to every worker a member of the board.
Ouais, je pense qu'ils savent pas ce que ça veut dire.
Fortunately, they explained it. Every time the Wild Pines group makes a decision about anything, it needs the signature of each of the 2,200 workers in its Martinez terminal. Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group.
Nos vieux travailleurs. Ah non, non, on va pas rentrer dans la politique. Ça, c'est marrant.
They're having a blast. But how can they afford it? After 4 months, my assumption was they would prefer a more practical solution.
Donc, qu'allez-vous faire?
I'm not sure. Naturally, I assume that was just their opening position, a hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery. But there's been no follow-up, just the same nonsensical slogan repeated over and over again. And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rags, a disastrous situation if there ever was one.
Ah.
Excuse me, from whom did you hear about this lynching?
Ouais.
I first heard it from the boyer at the gates, the one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, "Call me mañana."
C'est quoi ce truc? C'est qui celui-là?
This checks out.
Qu'est-ce qu'il est arrivé à Gaumont?
Mr. Clare told him to, how did he put it? Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see. Yes.
D'accord, d'accord.
Keep in mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and the union.
C'est qui les
The
roupions?
scabs? You mean the huddled masses of Jamrock, come to plead for work where the union refuses to? If they
Ouais.
were organized by Wild Pines or its affiliates, then it would be a company secret. I could not share it with you. Not right now, at least.
Ah, maintenant. Et parle-moi du chef.
Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers
Ah,
first.
du coup, c'est pas le cas.
Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous
Ah, elle aime
goo
pas
where
son
you
boss.
and I have blood.
Si pourri que ça.
He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother, Edgar.
Ah, il y en a deux en plus.
Yes, Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does, and when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over.
Ah.
It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues.
Et qui est en dehors des
The
flaires?
Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it. I can respect that. Organised labour at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The brothers Clare came and transformed it into a
mob. The Débardeurs are a crime syndicate. Sad as it may be, I suspect we'll be forced to cooperate with them.
refreshingly honest officer. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened Everard and his brother. And your opinion, detective, if I may ask? I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. Would you say the Débardeurs Union is...
Je veux pas dire mon opinion, même si je suis pas une vraie mafia, quoi.
Of course, officer.
Qu'est-ce qui s'est passé lors des
I'm
élections?
glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the Union. She disappeared.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore, or coming to work. Ever. End of story.
C'est bizarre.
Downright haunting, if you ask me. The Wild Pines suspected foul play, but what could they do? It was a union matter. The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around the Clares. Watch out when you're dealing with him.
Bon,
Thank
ça,
you for
j'avais
your
compris.
concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine.
Je pense
Of
que c'est
course.
bon.
How else can I help?
Ah si, le lynchage, ouais.
Quite a few things, I'm afraid.
Oh, bah,
The
je veux tout
information
savoir.
I'm
Hein.
to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your names and badge numbers.
Oh.
Of course, ma'am. We should have introduced ourselves. I am Lieutenant Kitsuragi from Precinct 57. And this is my colleague from Precinct 41. I'm afraid he doesn't have his badge at the moment. I hope mine will suffice.
How curious. Why is that, Detective?
Awkwardness washes over the conversation. The woman doesn't like this turn of events.
J'ai pas le choix. Ah oui, j'ai une crise médicale.
I see. So, are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode?
Je l'ai bouffé, si ça se trouve.
Oh dear. I suppose this does explain some of the more curious turns in our conversation.
Oh,
As I
zut.
said, ma'am, his technique may be very unconventional, but he is an officer of the RCM.
Of course, I sympathize, but I'm afraid I simply can't share anything more until I've seen that badge.
Hang on. She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement.
Bah, je vais tenter, hein, 72%, c'est pas mal.
She's a negotiator. Just float a favor at her.
D'autres moyens
Insinuate.
pour prouver que je suis policier.
I will be frank with you. If I'm going to break protocol, I need to be able to justify it to my superiors. They're going to want to see something very tangible.
Ouais.
You're in, but expect her to drive a hard bargain.
Genre quoi?
Reports from inside Terminal B suggest it's a hub for the local drug trade. This is an open secret in Martinez. The Union controls the terminal, so it goes to reason.
They're profiting from this trade.
Ouais.
The company has tried looking into this matter before, to no avail. Perhaps someone with your authority and resources might turn over the right stones. Or you can recover your badge, though if I may be blunt with you, it sounds like that may be a lost cause.
Detective, a word in private before we continue.
Ouais. Et on se parle.
This is not going quite as I hoped it would, Detective. Honestly, I was expecting you to use your unorthodox technique to keep her off balance, and not volunteer us to be her henchmen.
Voilà, on est
This
des larmes.
woman is running circles around us. She might have known about your misplaced badge all along, or she's simply an adept improviser. Either way, we've played straight into her hands.
He doesn't let it show, but there is a limit to how much the consequences of your unprofessional behavior can cost the investigation.
Je montrer de votre
Oh.
mon insigne.
That would be fantastic, but do we have the time? The world is large and your badge is 8 by 6 centimeters. You could request a new one from your station, but that would literally take months.
Que proposez-vous?
No. If there is reasonable suspicion, we must investigate. Otherwise, she could claim we are siding with the Union, or that we are on their take. We'd never hear the end of it. What I propose is, we ask her, then we investigate, briefly. But do not share the outcome of this investigation with her. We tell her it's done and demand for her information on the lynching.
Ok. Je peux plus lui parler.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with?
Allez.
It's quite straightforward. Someone is using Terminal B to smuggle raw ingredients from the Samaran Isla into Revachol with the Union's blessing. Wild Pines has suspected it for years.
D'accord.
Ingredients for what, ma'am?
Meth and dextroamphetamine, GBL and various synthetic psychedelics. Honestly, it might be quicker to say what you can't make from the stuff.
De Samara à Revachol via le
Yes.
terminal.
After they clear the terminal, we lose track. The actual production is taking place at various sites in and around Jamrock Quarter, north of here.
Wild Pine seems to be well apprised of the local drug trade, ma'am. Do you mean to say the Union also produces the product? Sells drugs, I mean?
We're in logistics. It's our business to know. And no. As far as the company knows, the Union does not produce it. They transport the ingredients for a cut. Yes, but you won't get anything out of Evrat and the Dock Workers Union. Still, every chain has its weak link.
Il est bouffon. Qu'est-ce que tu veux
The
dire?
lorries. Someone needs to move the ingredients from the harbour into the city. Once they reach Jamrock, they're distributed to a network of local manufacturers well beyond our grasp. But in transit, they are vulnerable.
Ok.
Perhaps you've noticed that a number of lorries are tangled in a traffic jam at the roundabout just now. Interview the drivers who are still hanging about. One of them might be waiting for a crucial shipment. I'll be explicit. If you find this driver, I will share company secrets with you.
C'est pas une coïncidence que les camions soient échoués à cet endroit.
No. We asked East Motor Track to raise the drawbridge. The road company is a partner of one of our subsidiaries. However, this is a limited time opportunity. Once the complaint has been processed by the Trade Committee, they'll have no choice but to lower the drawbridge, and the operation will continue. Thousands of litres of raw ingredients will pour onto the streets of Revachol. Not the east across the river, but the west. The vulnerable, the weary.
Well, at least this solves one mystery.
What is that, Lieutenant?
Why I had to call East Motor Track and beg them to open a drawbridge for me. I'd wondered since I first drove in, on my motor carriage.
I am sorry for the inconvenience, Lieutenant Kisaragi, but we need them trapped here. This is a unique opportunity. I'm sure you understand.
Et t'as quoi comme
How do you
preuve?
think they're financing this strike? There are thousands of unpaid dock workers going strong for the fourth month straight.
There was a shakedown of local businesses preceding the strike. Many were squeezed to bankruptcy to fund it.
With all due respect to these desert cacti, the contents of a few cash registers cannot provide for 2,000 men. The local businesses can scarcely provide for themselves.
Vous pensez donc que la grève est financée avec le trafic d'ingrédients de base pour fabriquer des drogues?
Precisely. Smuggled out of that very gate at night, most likely, then loaded onto lorries and driven to Jamrock. You simply need to find one driver who will open up to you.
Ok,
It
j'en connais
sounds
un.
like she tried looking into it herself, but she's clearly not the type your typical lorryman would confide in.
Et pourquoi t'es pas
We
venu
did.
voir les flics avant?
On more than one occasion. Apparently, there's some sort of inter-precinct disagreement.
We know the company has launched its own probe into the union's alleged involvement. We also know it's come up empty. It's not just the RCN. No one's been able to find any hard evidence.
Well, here's your chance, officers.
Bon.
Yes?
On va voir avec les chauffeurs.
According to my reports, there are at least 3 lorry drivers lingering near the roundabout. Hopefully one of them will know something. It may come to nothing, or it may just blow the case wide open. I can keep the drawbridge up for a few more days at least. You should have the time you need.
Ouais,
In the meantime, let me know if there's any other way I may be of assistance.
je vais avoir un peu d'argent.
Is what you want to say, but it isn't that easy. is
ouais.
look at that lady. Take a gander. Squint your eyes,
Quel
bub.
beau tissu.
Why, yes. Tucked away under that sturdy green raincoat, almost rustic in its simplicity, a silk shirt and matching scarf, while dull orange pearls hang from her earlobes, red from the cold.
Et
Now look at you, you misery-clad simian, barely able to tie your own laces. Your armpits are lakes. A scythe of booze precedes you. Your hair sticks to your forehead. You're poor, poor as balls. You can't ask this person for money. You're too.
Ah oui. J'ai pas honte.
Yes, you're too ashamed to ask this person for money. Too scared to belittle yourself in her eyes. Those half-precious stones of Odin.
D'accord.
As I was saying, if there's any way I may be of assistance, please don't hesitate to ask.
Allez, on va retenter quand même.
Voila, you're doing it. Really put your back into it. Yell it from the top of your lungs.
Un peu d'argent maintenant?
Of course. How much do you need?
Combien j'ai
She's
besoin?
surprisingly nonchalant about this. Could it be that she somehow knows more?
130 réals.
That's a good sum. Not too small, not fantastically large.
She removes a few notes and hands them to you. The paper is cold and oily to the touch.
Oh lolo.
Whoa, whoa! Did you see how easy that was? Ask her for more.
Non, non, c'est
Toot
bon.
toot. Train to Moneytown. Can you eat honor? Are you an omnivore? Give me a break.
Non, non.
So, I hope I didn't just bribe you, officer. It may not be technically illegal under the Emergency Act, but still.
Non, non, je suis honorable.
You're right, man, that donations are permitted under the Emergency Act, unseemly as it may be, as long as they are properly logged with the precinct.
Which he most certainly will do. Now, how else can I help the RCM today, besides supplementing its salaries?
Oh,
Of
c'est bon,
course,
c'est
Detective. Take care.
bon. Ouais, bah dis donc, j'ai bien fait de prendre autant de temps. Bon, allez, je vais retourner un peu au vrai sujet là, parce que je me suis un peu éloigné. Mais au moins, c'est des choses. Oh. Non, 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 je vais pas lui parler. Oh yes. Non, non, dégage. Bon, c'est le début de la richesse. Oh, il y a eux aussi là. Oh, oh. Beaucoup de gens. Hein. Ah oui, il faut que je fasse un truc avec les phares.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone,
Comment
a
j'allume les
pull-out
phares?
toolbox, and
All right. Ready? I turn, you press.
he's downplaying his
Appuie sur
excitement.
démarrage.
The dashboard lights up with orange glow. The rounds per minute gauge jumps, and the engine of the Caprice Canadian.
C'est juste des
The
phares, hein.
lights unfold with a little click, casting electrical light on.
There you go. I'll turn them off from the remote once you're done. We just need to stand in front of the
The worn map features the patchwork grid of the
Ah
street.
non, c'est pas ça que je voulais. Ah oui, c'est vrai, je l'ai en main.
It's the ledger you found in the trash, a cabbage of papers hanging from the board, with the permeables
c'est quoi, les
without
tiroirs?
resistance or sound. The two panels move against its
c'était pas
slot.
ça.
Your hand shakes. You're flushed with adrenaline.
Les nouveaux, les
Arson,
affaires.
petty theft.
Non, c'était
You
pas ça.
don't exactly close them. So thin,
Formulaire?
see-through.
Non,
The
c'est pas
rest
ça.
of the stinking cellulose is
Porte-bloc.
it's made of dark blue plastic, hard enough to beat someone to something. The plastic shimmers like with your hands. You four-sized pages hang from the clip, screwed to the top of the board. It's made of dark blue with your hands.
Mince.
You four-sized pages hang from the clip,
Il y a les
screwed to the
filigranes.
top of the board.
Placez-vous devant les phares, avant. Je suis pas devant là.
It's the ledger you found in the trash, a cabbage of papers hanging from the board. Without resistance or sound, two octopuses are smiling, reaching their tentacles toward each other. You stare at the card, willing your hand shakes. An aluminium block runs. The surface is interrupted by a silvery stick.
What? Yes, any capable light. All RCM vehicles have had light.
This means you can read the watermarks if you just turn the lights on,
Okay.
while a bunch of sodden papers sag.
Il y a un
Inside,
problème.
you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and the...
Non, non. Je peux pas être plus proche là.
It's the ledger you found in the trash, a cabbage of papers hanging from the board, with the permeable. Without resistance, two octopuses are smiling. Reaching their You stare at the card. It's...
Oh,
your
j'ai
hand shakes. You're flushed with... It's made of dark blue. Something... The plastic shimmers like lapis with your hands. Without resist, it's your hand shakes. You're flushed with adrenaline. As you hold your ledger's clip under the
Putain, fallait
headlamp,
juste faire ça.
an iridescent.
There she is. Revachol West.
Around the borders of the watermark are dozens, no, hundreds of micro-perforations. The rectangular watermark is overlaid with the logo of the RCM, and yet the major arteries of Revachol are all recognizable. They shimmer in the Kanema's headlights. A rat brazenly darts past you and disappears amongst the stopped lorries. In the distance, a child somewhere shrieks. A woman in the middle of a broken plaza in a cone of light, barely visible in the daytime. Two men, one slim, the other sturdy. They are on...
Ah, Martinez. Let me see. Right here.
Je suis sûr que j'ai vu pire.
Oh yes. Coal City. Le Royaume. The burnt out quarter.
all of them worse than here. There are
Perforation.
many of them, and they are divided into 3 separate rows.
Ok,
The first row has 18 dots.
pas mal.
Not bad for what? You don't even know
Ouais,
what
c'est
it
vrai.
means yet. The next is the longest. It runs all the way around the border, and then some.
Il comptait une par
There
an.
are so many, it's hard to count. More than 150, at least. Maybe even 200.
Qu'est-ce que ça veut
The
dire?
last row has 3 perforations.
Juste 3?
That's it.
Ça veut dire quoi ces trous?
Those are perforations. They represent your record as an officer of the RCM. There are your statistics, as it were. I should have guessed you'd keep a record. Officers often do. Let's take a look.
Son, here is where we score your life performance.
Je m'étonne.
You better hope it's good.
The first row represents your years of service. 18 years. Okay, not bad at all. What did you do before you volunteered? That's what it says. I might have guessed even longer based on your age. What did you do all those blissful years of your youth?
Je sais pas.
Fair point. Let's move on, shall we? This next row, the one that wraps all the way around, is your number of closed cases. Closed is good. It means finished. You've got, let's see, wow, more than 200.
C'est beaucoup.
It's quite a lot, even for someone who's been on the force for nearly 2 decades. Usually, clearing more than 10 cases a year puts you in the 90th percentile of all RCM officers.
C'est un super
Call
flic.
it what you want. You were a valuable member of your precinct. Now, let's look at the last row.
Ça veut dire quoi?
Right. Those are your confirmed kills. You've got precisely 3 perforations.
J'ai tué 3 personnes.
Confirmed kills. That sounds pretty evil. A drink would soften that feeling.
Donc je suis un
That's
tueur.
right. A killer of humans.
For an RCM officer, especially Precinct 41, which is in the Jamrock quarter, it's rather tame. I mean that in a good way.
What's it feel like to kill a man, Mr. McCoy? A young woman asked the man across the desk from her.
McCoy.
Honestly,
McCoy,
babe,
je m'appelle.
says John McCoy, crossing his ankles over said desk. I don't feel anything anymore. It's just like brushing my teeth. I do it once or twice a week and don't really think about it. There's no trace of guilt in his voice.
There are certain officers who treat their kills like some kind of ghoulish game. If they do happen to solve a case, it's usually by accident. But it seems as though you are, or at least were, one of the good ones. So we have that to be thankful for.
Tant mieux.
He's sincerely glad you're not a scary predator. Not to say relieved you're competent.
T'as déjà tué quelqu'un?
Yes.
It's not a problem for him to state it, however.
Et comment vous faites?
Everyone has their own method of coping. Some more effective or self-destructive than others.
Ouais, tu m'étonnes.
Personally, I find it helps to keep up a few hobbies.
Genre quoi?
Oh, this and that. Let's not get into it now.
Peut-être que je
Why
devrais me
not
trouver un
gardening?
hobby.
You've already got the gloves.
Ah, il est marrant.
It's meant in earnest. Please don't mistake it for a jab. The lieutenant nods.
Right.
Ok.
I'll go turn off the lights.
You can now see your statistics on your journal page, to the right of the task description.
Ok, je pense que je vais aller rembourser ma dette. Il était pas là lui avant.
Can I help you?
Ah oui, tiens déjà la clé.
Thanks. I hope you found what you were looking for.
Je vais retrouver les vêtements de la victime.
How strange. I certainly didn't put them there.
Qui d'autre possède les clés?
The trash collection service, CS Municipal. I don't see why they would put anything in the trash, though.
Ah, the elusive CS Municipal. I doubt we'll be able to track down who was sent here last and when. This will have to be one of those little threats that solves itself down the...
On Clinton Street, near the Boogie Street Diamond, a small truck rattles down an alleyway. It stops by a rusted trash container. Two men, their faces rough and swollen, jump out. They look at the container despondently. CSM is written on their backs.
Thank you anyway.
Qui depuis les employés peut-être?
Sylvie had the keys before I got here, and I can vouch for her. I can vouch for all my staff. None of us would tamper with the crime scene.
Ok.
Yes.
Bon allez,
Yes.
j'ai ton
Have you
argent.
got it?
C'est le malin lui par contre. Tu as combien déjà?
A lot. A lot. For the room, drinks, and broken window, 130 real.
Non, j'ai
Like
pas ton argent.
what? I was ready.
Finalement, j'ai pas ton argent. Je vais aller voir ce que je peux acheter. Déjà, non, je vais pas acheter un livre. Mais à Frites, il y avait des trucs. Je savais pas avant ça.
A small cabinet on the wall is filled with various medicine bottles.
Just ask me if you need anything from Saint Baptiste. We don't stock prescription meds, but we do have Nosafed, Duramine, Magnesium, and Hypnogamma.
De l'ammoniac?
Yeah, there's like an ampule somewhere.
Ah, je peux acheter des...
A colorful display of cigarettes and alcohol bottles there, in that dark green glass, all in vain. The great flowing river of warmth, wine,
Rien
alcohol.
dire.
I'm obliged to inform you that both alcohol and cigarettes damage your health, but I guess you already know that.
Don't ask, don't look, don't do anything here. Just go away. Get back to work.
J'y vais jamais. Ah oui, il y avait un truc là.
You see several packets. The packages are small, discreet, sloppily stacked, making them easier to take unnoticed. No need to worry about knocking over a display.
4 balles pour de l'endurance.
Here you go.
This will keep you nice and warm out there. Good choice. If
Et là, il y avait des trucs à vendre ou pas? Je sais plus.
Is this about the questions again?
Ah.
Because I don't really know anything.
Est-ce
A
qu'ils ont un
warehouse?
entrepôt?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't really care what Frit does.
C'est
she
important.
scrunches up her face into an expression of
Fine. Frit doesn't have a warehouse. Just a little back room here. Okay?
The tear machine stands. Your bottles clunk into the... You're 100% sure you got special Hobocop money for that tear. At least 100% extra tear money. If the numbers on the machine told you otherwise, it's...
Ok. Tous ces gens.
A lorry stuck in the traffic jam. The windows are clear. They've been recently washed. You can see a lorryman's cabin with personal belongings. The driver has adorned his space with a substantial collection of peculiar paraphernalia. Proclamations about honor, strength, and
Le siège
purity.
arrière.
Oh, the back end of the cabin has a small perch to sleep, large ashtrays. There are several suns and wheels sewn into the curtains.
Racist nationalist paraphernalia. Not unusual in this part of town. This is our guy.
C'est les gros durs.
Likely, yes. This guy's proud of who he is. Drapes it all over his machine.
He was acting tough before. This probably scared him a bit. Who knows when it will come in handy? A slightly scared, racist lorryman.
Bon. Donne quoi déjà? Esprit de corps. Oh là là, la dégaine. Ouais. Bon. Je pense qu'on va arrêter la vidéo là. On va continuer l'enquête dans la prochaine vidéo. En attendant, à plus.